How you doing? Paula Sullivan here, based in Blessington, County Wicklow in Ireland. I'm currently working on my sixth book, and I thought it was time to maybe take stock of the books I've already put out there. And I just wanted to share a little bit about each book that I have. So back in 2013, I published this book, Different Perspectives for Different Worlds, Essays for Life. And then I revised it then in 2017. So I'm going to read a little bit about that. So I began writing in 2009. I became ill with an MS lupus type illness. And in the course of all the tests and everything like that, and not getting any answers, I actually just got this idea in my mind that somewhere along the line, because I've been very stressed, that might have been contributing to it, you know. So I went down the rabbit hole reading books. And yes, I did. I actually got better from it, you know, and that amazed me. You know, that it was possible to actually get better from some illnesses, you know. And it opened up a whole new world for me. And in 2010, I started writing then just a line a day, which was a sentence, just my own thoughts on things. Just, you know, because I didn't really know how to think for myself. My opinion was everybody else's at the time, you know. At the time, I was married for 17 years with my husband and everything like that. And we separated soon after I got better and that. But at the time, my opinion was his, do you know what I mean? And the same with my family and stuff like that. So I started looking, who was I in all of it after all the life I'd gone through, you know, and who was I? So I started writing a line a day just to find out who I was and what was my opinion on things. And that developed into a paragraph, which developed into a whole page. I ended up putting that up in a blog in 2010. And eventually, when I had 90 of these thoughts of the week, I put them into this first book, you know. So I'm going to read you just one of the essays from that particular book, out of the revised edition here. I'm going to stick the glasses on. Just to give you an idea about my books and what they're about, just in case you're interested. These books are available on Amazon and in Kindle format as well, and Smashwords as well, places like that you can find them. This essay is called The Club. Let me tell you about a club I was a member of for years and years. And in my uneducated view, I think that it's probably got the largest membership worldwide than any other club. It's not quite a secret society, but most of the members don't realise they're in a club at all. You're always guaranteed to meet fellow members wherever you go, and there is nothing terribly distinguishing about them. They look just like anybody else. So I know you're wondering now about this, and you're thinking to yourself, so how would I recognise a fellow member then? Well, they have a couple of secret codes that let you know who they are. When you meet a fellow member, they will greet you with something like, "Miserable day, isn't it?" And if you're a member too, that's your prompt. And you must reply with something like, "Oh yes, it's terrible weather for this time of year." Now, this is good you were a novice to the club, and it'll get you accepted anywhere. Or if you're a very practiced member, you can show your superiority now by replying, "Yes, it's terrible. And what the heck do you think the government think they're at?" Now, this is a good way of finding out at what level the other person is at. Now, sometimes the members like to lure unsuspecting friendly types into the club, and they'll usually come at you from a different angle. And it may start off with, "Lovely day." And as you're beginning to wonder if they don't belong to the club, they'll launch into all their latest health problems and provide you with a full, comprehensive medical history of their long since dead ancestors too, just to add weight to the story. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this. I guess while I was a member, I just wasn't aware. And I was quite happy to share my miseries and health problems with anyone who'd listen. And sure, wasn't there a great feeling of camaraderie in the club? Sure, wasn't it all okay? If I were and they were all miserable together, that made the world seem okay somehow. The problem began when I left the club. Oh, it's called the Complainers Club, by the way. You see, I stopped complaining and judging. I stopped focusing on what was wrong in my world and decided to focus on what was right. And when I did this, I noticed how large the the club that I had left really was. And I suddenly felt just a little bit lonely. Because once you've left, you become so aware of your thoughts and words, and you feel so uncomfortable talking about someone in a negative way, and you feel so uncomfortable about complaining about anything. And if your friends are still in the club, you can find yourself being coaxed back into the club. Because, hey, no one wants to be around someone who's just so damn accepting, now do they? And so you may find from time to time that you end up complaining with them. And even if it's only for a few minutes. And your soul cries out for you to come back out of the club. And you feel really awful when you're by yourself. And you say, I won't go back to the club. And then it happens again and perhaps again. And you may just give in at that time and just join them again. Or you can, like me, when this happens, take a deep, deep breath. And see that our soul, our spirit, our higher self, our God, whatever it is to you, will keep giving you an opportunity to prove to yourself how strong you can really be. And if you listen to your inner promptings, instead of feeling really bad, you can now embrace each new conversation. So very, very aware now. And you can consciously choose to be in the Complainers Club. Join in with tearing the world apart with your words, so you can establish a new club yourself and maybe help to heal your world instead. I call mine the Appreciation Club. And at the moment, I'm the only member. So if anyone would like to join me in my Feel Good About Life Club, you will be most welcome. So that's the club, and that's from those books there. Different perspective for a different world. The original is out of print. You could probably get a secondhand copy. There are a couple of libraries actually have them. Blessington Library has the original, and it also has the new one. So the two are actually in Blessington Library. I think the original one is in Tala Library as well, and I think there's one in Walkinstown as well, because I had sent out a few copies originally when I published that out. So a couple of libraries actually have that on their catalogues. So, and you can get them, you can order them. So that was my first book. The second book, then, I continued writing on and off. I've had an interesting relationship with writing over the years. I was currently writing, I was writing on and off from that point, from 2013, you know. And there was a local newspaper in Dublin, Biz Blitz or something like that. They were a free local newspaper, and they were looking for authors to contribute in 2016, I think it was. And I started writing then an article called Climbing Out of the Abyss, Coping with Life, Depression and Illness. And that was going to be my second book. And I started writing I thought I'd elaborate a little bit on my first book and just actually share all the different things I'd done to get myself out of depression, to get myself out of anxiety, to build my self-esteem, to build my confidence, all the different things because I've worked on a million different things. Since 2010, I have worked on so many different things. And I went and trained in 2011, I trained as a hypnotherapist. 2012, I trained as a Reiki practitioner, started doing energy work. And then 2017, I trained as a life coach. You know, so I've done, and I'm reading all the time and watching videos. I'm constantly learning new things. So I had learned an awful lot of things. And I thought maybe I could help some people by putting some of that stuff out there, because some people were saying, you know, that's great. The first book was great, but, you know, you didn't quite exactly go into a lot of detail about how you actually got better, you know, and is it something that could be copied? Could somebody else in a similar situation to me maybe get themselves better? Maybe they could, maybe they couldn't. I don't know. Everybody's different. What I did discover when I was doing a lot of research, I got into a thing called psychoneuroimmunology. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a huge word, bigger than cornflakes, you know. And I was fascinated with this link between our emotions and our thoughts, and then psychosomatic illnesses and stuff like that. And I would have had in my earlier years, due to my anxiety and depression, I would have had a lot of psychosomatic illnesses in my earlier years as well. So I started going into all of this. And then I discovered the link with energy work as well, you know, that there's imprints and there's an intrusive energies and there's all sorts of stuff. You know, if you want to get well, there's all sorts of stuff. It's a huge undertaking if you actually want to get yourself better from something, you know. But I got into all of that, and I put everything I'd learned up to that point in 2019 went into this book, which this was the book that was going to be climbing out of the abyss, coping with life, depression, and illness. And I changed the name to Same Shit, Different Day, breaking the patterns that make us miserable. And it's a metaphysical approach to well-being. So in this book, I have everything in it. I've of all the stuff I learned in hypnosis, I've all the stuff I learned in coaching. I've learned a lot of the energy work I learned has gone in there, angelic work, all that kind of stuff. Anything like that I've done, working with emotional intelligence, working with addictions, all that kind of stuff have gone into this book, you know. So I'm going to read you just one little bit out of it. So I had a section on thoughts. And in the section on thoughts, I've covered a lot of different things in this. Undesirable states of mind, how your thoughts are energy, interference, thought forms, voices in your mind, stuff like that. What else have I got in here? I went into mind movies and the different ways of thinking. And you'd be surprised when you're trying to work with different ways of thinking. You realize that one way makes you more anxious and depressed, and then other ways don't, you see. So I've been doing lots of work with this over the years, you know. So I'm just going to read a little bit just from the start of it here. Our thoughts create so many things, and most of us are just not aware of how powerful they can be. I feel it's important to show you that your early chapters don't have to be the whole story. You don't have to continue to be the victim of your childhood or whatever experiences you had. No matter what happened to you, it is possible to move on and create something better for yourself. For most of my life, like most people, I guess, I didn't know anything about thoughts, except that I had them. I didn't know that I wasn't my thoughts. I didn't know that I could change my thoughts. I didn't know that if I changed my thoughts, that I could change how I felt, and I could choose to feel good instead. I didn't know that thoughts were energy, like radio waves. And I definitely didn't know that my thoughts could affect the world around me, and that the thoughts of those people around me could affect me. And like a lot of people, I was disempowered and running on autopilot, trying the very best way to cope and survive in the environment I found myself in. And that's just the introduction of that. I'm just going to try and find, let me see. I have thoughts create reality in here as well. I'm just trying to find the bit on, I have affirmations in here as well. I'm finding loads of different things. Let me see. So the 2 ways of thinking. Just briefly, I thought this might be of use to you. So the worst way, we have 2 ways of thinking. And our default way is the worst way of thinking. And most of us are stuck in this way of thinking. It's the usual way we think. So to remain in a non-desirable state of mind, we have to focus on all that is going wrong, all that has gone wrong. We have to keep thinking negative thoughts, thoughts of self-blame, perceived failures, have lack of faith in the future, or have negative expectations. And that's part of what I call the wrong way of thinking. Okay. And if you're suffering from anxiety or depression, you're definitely going to be in that way of thinking. I certainly was. No, I don't consider myself suffering from depression or anxiety now, and haven't been for quite a few years now since I did this work, you know. But it's not something you try on a Tuesday and then go back. You know what I mean? This is a daily practice. And this is something that takes initially a lot of energy. And I go into the book about a thing called entrainment as well. And it's how our bodies sync with, you know, the reason we have habits is it uses less energy. So this is why we keep falling back and forth into the same old patterns again and again and again. Because it takes energy. If you want to try something new, it takes a lot of energy to actually try something new. And even to just become aware of your thoughts is exhausting initially, you know. So it takes a lot of work to do this. It's not an easy thing. And it's something that needs practice and commitment, you know. So you don't just pick it up and drop it. It's something you have to do all the time. It's like washing. You have to wash every day, you know, or you're going to stink, you know. It's the same. If you don't watch your thoughts, you're going to get yourself into a bad place. And that's what I found. And your thoughts can lead you into terrible places. I mean, I've been suicidal, twice in my teenage years. I tried to actually end it all. And then near the end of my marriage again, I didn't actually go that far, but I was going to, my thoughts were full of it. But then I realized about my thoughts, and you can change your thoughts. You can change. And I share all the techniques for that in this book, So that's part of the worst way. Okay. Then the best way to escape the cycle of undesirable states of mind, of thoughts, right, that are disturbing you or making you feel anxious or making you feel depressed or making you feel suicidal. You have to begin to think in a better way. All right. You have to shift your focus. So you must accept the reality, your current reality. You must accept that is paramount in changing anything. So when you accept what's happening, even if you don't like it, it can provide you with some new questions to ask yourself, and you can focus on solutions rather than problems. And then you focus on what's going right, and you focus on what you do have. Gratitude was a huge thing for me with actually coming out of depression and anxiety as well. Now, there's lots of things in all of this. I'm just skirting through this, there's all sorts of things, for anxiety and stuff. You must accept yourself and your own opinion more than the opinion of others. There's all that kind of thing in this book as well. There's so many things involved with trying to get yourself up out of this, but I've shared as much as I've used myself, successfully. So basically, when you're changing states of mind, you shift your focus. When there's an all or nothing kind of mental state there when you're suicidal and depressed and anxious. It's all or nothing. It's all black and it's all negative and everything is wrong and nothing is right. When you start shifting your focus, then that changes things, but you have to be consistent with it, So that's just a little bit out of that book. I say there's an awful lot in that book. It's quite a thick book. And I've got some good feedback. I got some very good feedback from people. It really has helped some people, but you've got to be ready for it, Okay, so that's that book. Now, the third one, I published this in 2020, which is just last year. And this is Let Love In, and it's Poems and Musings. Now, I've been writing poems for years, on and off for years, just a little bit here on the scrap of paper here and there. And I just pulled them all together. And then I threw a few musings in. So it's Poems and Musings. So the first thing I'm going to read you from this one is, let me see, I have it marked out here. So this one's called Hidden Agendas. So it's only a short one. When we are unaware, we are meeting people with an agenda. And it's kind of like an unconscious drop-down list that comes between us and everyone we meet. On it are things like, do I find this person attractive? Or do they find me attractive? If not, then I'm not getting anything from them, so I won't give them much of my attention. Is this person any use to me now, or possibly in the future? If not, then I won't give them much of my time and attention. These are just two brief examples, and there are many, many more. But you won't recognize this unless you become aware. When we are unaware, we are mostly seeking to get our wants, needs, and desires fulfilled by others. The strongest of these becomes an agenda. When you spend time developing yourself and learning to satisfy your own wants, needs, and desires, then you will be free to meet others without an agenda. And you will be able to freely see what you can give in each interaction, without your ego fooling you into thinking that you ever have anything to lose in this. So I have a few musings like that, just observations, stuff I've learned about myself, stuff I've learned about other people, all in here. And it's dotted in between with poems. So here's a poem from the book. And this one's called An Old Woman's Lament. I didn't die today, but if I had, my mantelpiece would be filled with cards, my vases full of flowers. I didn't die today, but if I had, my home would be crammed with people I haven't seen for years. There would be a symphony of laughter and tears. I didn't die today, but if I had, My hair and nails would shine, and I'd be in my Sunday best. I didn't die today, but if I had, I'd get to hear again all the excuses of why they didn't call. I didn't die today. I sit staring at the wall. My mantelpiece is empty. My vase is full of dust. My hair and nails have seen better days. I'm in an old stained dress that smells of must. My phone sits silent upon the chest. The doorbell never rings. I've only mice to keep me company, and only my kettle sings. I didn't die today. I know it sounds real sad. My life is measured in lonely moments, in rhythm with the clock. My thoughts frequently interrupted by the hypnotic tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. I didn't die today. I know it sounds real bad. I didn't die today, but I almost wish I had. I'm sitting in the gloom, and my mind is full of doom. But then I realize, after many heavy sighs, I'm the author of my destiny. My story starts with me. This is just a chapter, darling, not the grand finale. So I put my best dress on, and I fill my vases with flowers. I send myself the cards I like, and I start filling up my hours. I put some music on and dance while my kettle sings, and I invite my lonely neighbours in for a lovely cup of tea, and I start phoning all my friends and distant family. I say, hello, my dears. Do you remember me? So if you're an old one lamenting, lacking in some bliss, you could start today, my darling, and create your own happiness. So that's Let Love In. And these are all available on Amazon and on Kindle in some cases. Okay, the only ones that aren't available on Kindle are my next two books. So this one, published last year as well. And then I published this one. So I'll tell you about this one first. So this was, this is Becoming Who I Really Am, and it's Finding Balance and Harmony. And I decided to do a full colour journal where you could actually write your thoughts if you wanted to. And then I put a little question. So it's 200 questions for self-exploration. So I did a little question, and then I wrote a little quote, and then I left a little space if you wanted to work through some thoughts and stuff like that for personal development, you know. So it's quite a big book compared to this one. Can't see now. So that'll show you kind of, wrong way. That'll kind of show you the size of them anyway. So I'm going to read from this one, because it's the same stuff. This one's just a handier one for your pocket, you know, for your handbag or your bag or whatever. So just going to read one from this, just to give you an idea. And this is, let me see, the question. How can I enjoy it for what it is? So if we are constantly waiting for everything to fall into place before we can enjoy our lives, then we may be a long time waiting. Wouldn't it be great if we could find something to enjoy about it now? So that's kind of the sort of stuff I have in that book and in the other one as well. As I say, that's the full colour one. Anyway, they're available on Amazon as well, not in Kindle form at the moment because I created them in a different program, and I'm not very techy at all, and I'm still learning how to do stuff. So I haven't quite figured out how to get that to go into an ebook without distorting all the stuff that I'm after putting in it, you know. So when I figure that out, they'll go on as ebooks as well, you know. So anyway, they're the books I have available at the moment. As I say, I'm working on my 6th book now at this stage, and other books as well. So I hope to have a few out this year anyway, you know. So thanks again, everyone, for your support, for sharing, for coming back and giving me feedback. It's very encouraging, you know, to know that I'm doing this work. I've gone through a lot of pain in my life, you know, and at least I can turn that pain around now that I've got over some of it. And see some of my own mental and emotional suffering, you know, and I'm able to actually share that with other people. And I'm delighted that it's actually helping other people as well, you know. So thanks again. You're very kind for listening and watching. I know it's probably a very long video this time, you know, but thanks again. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you have an absolutely fantastic year and day and evening or whatever time you're watching this. Thanks again. Mind yourselves. Bye.